And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for joining us. It's Gerald Glassford again, coming to you from the Lakers Fast Break Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. I put up a show a little early for those looking for the weekend show. The Multiverse is now up, where we talk about Claire Obscure Expedition 33 on the Xbox, the Oblivion remaster, and how everybody's playing it, and Switch 2 and more. So go ahead and check it out as we talk video games on the latest Pop Culture Cosmos. Indeed, Stone Hansen is here at report_court. Please follow him there, and also the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast. Go ahead and check him out and all the great work that he's doing on the NBA Draft. I know that I'll have some questions for him on the NBA Draft I didn't get to cover on our last conversation. Maybe I'll do it today, maybe, or we may save it. Let's save it for another day because the Lakers still do have a pick in the draft. So
we'll do full episodes, draft episodes. I'll make sure.
Yes, I love it. That's how we got to know each other in the first place.
Exactly.
So we will go ahead. All right, I love it. Draft talk will begin here in the coming weeks and months. Stone Hansen, and right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. But make sure you follow him at report_ on Twitter. He's on Blue Sky and also as well Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast as well. Joe Soro will be gracing us with his presence. Yay. So we'll go ahead and hear from here in a few minutes. But here today is, of course, first and foremost, of course, Stone Hansen. Stone, great to have you here. Unfortunately, the circumstances are not better. DBSH says time to get Cat or Nas Reed. I know that there's going to be a lot of things people are going to be asking for in the off season. A lot of things that we need to cover. I know that a lot of things we have to say about how it ended. First off, before we get into what's next, and before I get into what was said earlier today with all the beloved exit interviews the Lakers have, your thoughts on how it ended. I know you said you did not see this team going as far as what people would hope, even with the addition of Luka Doncic, and ultimately you were correct on that. But how did it end for you? Did it end the way you thought it would, or were there some mistakes that were preventable that cost the Lakers a chance to move on?
Yeah, well, I did predict, I think, Lakers in 6 or 5. Obviously, I was wrong there. I don't like making predictions in the playoffs just because it's as predictable as March Madness. You never know what's going to happen. But clearly, I was wrong on that front. But I don't like making those predictions anyways, but there's, I think, a lot of short-sighted people when it comes to how this season ended with the Lakers. But to me, it was never, when they made the trade, it was never about going for it this season. If it happened, great. If something unforeseen happened and there was a spark there that they could build on, and they were able to really go for it, great. But I don't think that was the intended purpose of this trade. I think this trade was to set themselves up to build around somebody for the long term. Whether you think Luka is that or not, I still strongly do. But it was never about this season. So now that we will have a full summer and a full upcoming trade deadline to fix the roster issues, my hope is that they go much further this upcoming season. But I never expected this team to really make the finals, let alone win them. It's just not a team. It's not a team that is really possible to do that with when you don't have a center and you really only have 2 positive NBA defenders on your team. The Lakers have obviously a plethora of things to address in the coming months when it comes to this roster and the construction of it, but there just wasn't enough time to do that once they had traded Luka, 5 or less days before the trade deadline. So it was never about this season, and that's why, to me, I don't care how it happens. I don't care if it's the first round I don't care if it's the NBA Finals. If you lose, you lose. And to me, a loss is a loss, regardless of how it happens.
Once again, it is Stone Hansen, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. And also here today, a guy who's had some time to reflect on the season end. And again, before I go into what was said earlier today on those beloved exit interviews for the Lakers, it's a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check him out today on the Joe Soro channel and also the Joe Soro Experiment, plus also as well his Experiment channel on Playback. Of course, what he does with his company, Simblades with a Y.com, and of course his game that's out there on Steam, Corrupt, Coreupt. It is Joe Soro. Joe, good to have you here. I'm on with Stone Hansen. Stone wanted to come on, wanted to share his thoughts about what happened with the team and where it needs to go to next. And before I go into the diatribe that Rob, JJ, and others said during today, which, we can go ahead and just say it's window dressing, because what they say and what happens may be two different things during the off season. But your thoughts, my friend, now that you have some time to reflect, some time to get away from it, as far as step away a little bit from the ending of the season. How's it going for you, and how do you think it's going to go for the Lakers?
Well, that's exactly what happened today. Is I didn't watch anything today. I did see snippets of it online, and while I was going through the channels, but there wasn't any desire to listen to hyperbole and just cliched responses, because that's always the case in most of these scenarios. The most important thing this summer will be to get an understanding of where this team is going to go after this year. That's going to be the most important part. Maybe in some cases more important than the acquisitions they make during the summer. And it tails all around LeBron James. The Lakers will need to make a commitment to what direction they want to go from here on out. The season, I agree with Stone, this season was I don't even know what word to use other than unexpected. Just all around, just surprises left and right. Winning 50 games was a surprise. Losing in the first round was a surprise to Minnesota. Obviously, the biggest one, getting Luka Doncic. But the biggest surprise was the best surprise, and it was the best move that the Lakers could have made in any scenario. And when you have a 26-year-old superstar who, in my view, still has not hit his prime square, possibly maybe next year, maybe the year after that. Either way, that's good news for the Lakers, because Luka is not one of those guys that's like Tracy McGrady or Vince Carter, high flight types where there's going to be a shelf life for them maybe in their early 30s. Luka doesn't need freakish athleticism to be effective for a decade. And the Lakers have a couple things that they need to consider here. And one of those considerations is what's going to happen at the end of this season. Are the Celtics going to go up 2 in championships? That's the only thing scaring me right now. If that happens, then this thing needs to get even more. It's more important. It's even more important at that point to get this ball rolling, so you can start winning championships, not just one championship. And that will have to include a roster that's tailored around Luka Doncic, not LeBron James. LeBron James, as far as I'm concerned, is not really even a secondary guy. I believe he should retire. I'm not enamored. I'm not enamored with his stats. Everybody has stats that can play ball. Whether they're doing it at 40, whether they're doing it at 30, I don't really care. I really don't. I saw Karl Malone and John Stockton play into their 40s as well. 39 and 40, actually. That's great. Congratulations. Stockton has the most assists of all time. unlikely to ever see that broken. He's got the most steals of all time. Congratulations. Do people even really remember that? No, they don't. And those are two of the five most popular statistics in basketball. And no one remembers John Stockton and whether he had more steals or more assists in the NBA, other than maybe basketball heads like us talking about it. That's it. In the end, this is about winning championships. In the end, this is about the Lakers. Thank you, LeBron James, for coming to the Lakers. I'm not in any way upset that he was here. We saw some great basketball, and there was a championship there, and that's good. That's great. But it's time to change. It's time to go, because when you can't close games, regular season, especially in the playoffs, that to me is the sign that you're done. That's a sign that LeBron James doesn't have enough juice to finish the games. Now, he was a little hazy at the end of games anyways when he was in his prime, but now it's even worse. You guys saw the statistic I set just a few moments ago, right, Gerald? On our chat.
Yes.
That was a telling stat for all 5 games. There were games where he scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. The Lakers cannot afford to be paying somebody $50 million to get 0 points in the fourth quarter on the road when you were up 10. That's not all-time great stuff. I don't care how old he is. See, that's the point too here, right? You can't have it both ways. Oh my God, he's 40 and he's getting these stats, and then when it matters, the stuff that matters, he's not executing. And all of a sudden now it's like, well, he's 40. Well, you can't have it both ways, folks. You can't. So I went in a little bit more detail on this because I feel like we're not talking about the games anymore. Now it's over. Now it's day one of time to get this thing going. Time to get this thing going. If you keep LeBron James further than the 2026 season, you are now handicapping not only the Luka, you're handicapping any chance of the Lakers competing for titles in that window. And that has to be decided, and that has to be decided decisively. If you're afraid of LeBron James, which I don't think they are, I don't think they would have made that trade for Luka by not telling LeBron if they really cared about LeBron at that moment. That's my thing, because I have a hard time believing that he knew, because I'm pretty positive that Rich Paul and Maverick Carter would have leaked it. 3 weeks. We're talking about 3 weeks. We're not talking about 3 hours or 3 days. Those guys would have leaked it, because I know that they're probably those kind of guys. So I think I might be wrong, but I think they did this. They made it happen, and I think they need to continue that mindset the rest of the way.
So still, good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. There's a lot to work with there, and there's a lot to get to in terms of how we build this team around Luka. And I actually do agree with Joe that retirement is the best option for LeBron, or more specifically for the Lakers. But to address quickly, there's definitely, I've seen people questioning whether Luka is the player to build around. And to me, that's insane. But he didn't have the best performance in the playoffs, but a few factors that are unique, I would say, are the fact that he came off of the longest injury in his professional career in the last decade, and then he was dealt has to deal with a lot of mental turmoil, going to a new team in the way that it happened, and then he has to figure out how to move his entire life and family to an entirely new place and fit in. Not to excuse the fact that there were poor performances, and I don't think he really ever got healthy after that injury this season. I think a full off season of hopefully not playing basketball for Serbia or for Slovenia will improve his health, and maybe a full off season of rest and eventually practice will help him get into shape and feel like he did pre-injury. But I think that injury is being overlooked as this is the longest stretch in a decade that he hasn't played basketball. That's significant. But so that said, I do think Luka is who we need to build around the roster around. The question, as Joe kind of said, is how do we do that? And obviously we'll get to that. But I do want to say too, I agree with LeBron retiring. I don't think it'll happen this year. I don't. I would like it to. I think that would be what is best for the Lakers, and that's the perspective I'm favoring most here because I'm a Lakers fan. But for LeBron, I think another year of that contract is going to be hard to give up, and it's just going to be really difficult to do. But I think that the Lakers need to give LeBron somewhat of an ultimatum of give us a timeline so we know what to do from here versus this play it year by year type thing. The Lakers will not do that because they're very superstar friendly, but that is what they should do in order to better anticipate what moves they need to make. I think LeBron right now is kind of there. He's obviously productive, but not in a way that is best for this team to win because he's not an ideal player to fit alongside LeBron or to fit alongside Luca. And I think you want to build a contending team, but you want to build one that contends for multiple years, and you extend that window as much as you can. And I think the priority should be to find who that number two guy is for this team. It's not going to happen this summer, unfortunately, just because LeBron and his money will be on the books next year, most likely. But I think that is moving forward what the Lakers should have their eyes set on first and foremost, because finding the idealistic pairing alongside Luca to set yourself up for multiple years, I think, is the fastest way to getting towards a championship.
One of the things that was mentioned earlier today, and once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Stone Hansen from the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast and at Report_Court on Twitter, along with Joe Soro from the Joe Soro channel, Joe Soro Experiment show, and also Playback TV channel as well. I want to go ahead and mention here that during the course of the exit interviews, one of the things that was mentioned, Joe, was that Rob Pelinka, in their exit interviews with Rob and JJ doing the most of the talking anyways, said he has total faith in Austin, Luka, and LeBron as the pillars of this organization, end quote. I do not share that total faith on 2/3 of that equation, to be exact. And although I don't share your guys' enthusiasm for LeBron being gone, because again, we talked about it last night. I'm not going to argue, guys. I agree with you. That's best option, but I don't think LeBron will choose that best option. Austin has to be the one that they think about as far as the weakest link in that pillar or the weakest part of that pillar, Joe, because of the fact we see now in this stage in the playoffs when it matters the most, his spotty performances during the course of the past 3 seasons, some of it good, most of it not quite as good as we hoped, just tells me that there's probably a better way forward, probably not with him as your number 3. And in doing so, the fact is you'll have to commit a lot of money to him in the summer of 2026. Of course, the Lakers, the way he sounds like the Lakers will probably offer him an extension. He'll probably turn it down, thus giving the Lakers even more incentive to go ahead and try and find a deal a little bit later on. But this summer, I believe his value will be at its highest, and the Lakers should take advantage of that by bringing back players who might be a better fit around Luka and, dare I say it, LeBron James. Go ahead, Joe.
That doesn't mean anything. It's how many times have we heard management or ownership support a coach or support a player, and that's usually the precursor of a firing or a trade.
I don't want to interrupt too much, but the only person that lies more than a weatherman is a GM or a coach or a owner during an exit interview. That's the only time. That's nobody lies more than that.
And you weren't interrupting, Stone. You can interrupt when you say things like that because it fits now the next part of my discussion even better. No one is blind here. Deep down, LeBron knows. No one's going to know more than LeBron. And this is 3 playoffs in a row where Austin Reeves is being marginalized correctly because he cannot perform at this level. And he's not the first and he won't be the last. It's not due to not being able to not trying. It's due to the fact that this roster is not really set up for his skill set in these scenarios. And this narrative, this continued narrative that the reason why the Lakers are losing is because Luka keeps getting blown by. When no one is behind a guard that can protect the guard, protect the perimeter guys, doesn't matter if you're really good on defense or not. It's not going to be an easy task. And the Lakers don't have a single big who can protect the paint or rebound. I want you to hear that again. An NBA team, the Lakers, don't have one single big man that can rebound or protect the rim. How are you supposed to win in the NBA if you don't have that, especially in the playoffs? And you saw what Rudy Gobert was doing last night. It was like he was standing there by himself. And you want to turn a rose into a lily? By all means, go ahead and give me an option on what the Lakers can do in turning Luka into Gary Payton. The answer to that is not. It's never going to happen because that's impossible. It's not going to happen. He'll never turn into Gary Payton. So what you do is you build a team around his talents, and you make sure that he has a couple dogs behind him, and then he'll take care of the rest. That's the kind of player he is. I didn't vote for him to be a 5-time first All NBA player. So what exactly do you want this guy to be? An MVP every year? I think it's coming. It's gonna be the norm. He's not a flashy player. This guy is cerebral. He's going to play below and on the ground, which means he's not likely going to be hurt. And coming back from that injury was lingering for a while, and he finally did something about it, and it still was probably too soon to come out. And now he will have a short season as opposed to the last couple seasons where he went to the Western Conference Finals and then went to the finals. He will have a long extended time to really get himself situated personally, by the way, and then physically and mentally. And Rob Pelinka's job is going to be about making sure that this team is ready to start the next phase of Laker championship ball. We know, I'm pretty confident in it, that LeBron is not going to retire. If he did retire, it would be a blessing, but he's not. LeBron wants the flowers. He wants the cars. He wants the candy. No one loves LeBron James more than LeBron James. And I would even go as far as saying I don't think I've ever seen any NBA player in my life that loves himself more than LeBron James. So LeBron James is coming back. The control that the Lakers have is that they need to make sure that he doesn't have the say after 2026. That is the key here. And whatever happens with Austin Reeves, you have to also understand he's making $14 million a year. He's played above that number regardless of his performance in the playoffs. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. If you can use that number, and if he thinks he's a $30 million a year player, that got squashed this last week. No one is going to pay him $30 million. That's not going to happen. It's just not. Maybe somebody will give him 20. And in that case, I think he's still good for an 82-game season, making $20 million and doing what he's doing. The only thing is you're going to have to bring other talent around. That's going to be important. How? Expiring contracts, maybe some wizardry, maybe try to convince somebody to take Vandel's contract, whatever. Whatever that ends up being, Rob's got a lot of work to do there, and it's gonna be two particular positions that he's gonna have to go after. One is a big man that's a legitimate starter. The other is another perimeter player that can break down a defense. Those are very hard to find, by the way, without paying $30-40 million. So you have to get lucky there too with the right partner and the right deal. And that's where it is. I'm not looking for a 180 change all done in this summer and let's go after it 2026. For me, I'm looking for the answer to the question is, are you guys serious about the next phase of championship Laker ball? Because that starts next year when the Lakers actually have a first-round pick, when they actually probably will have a better free agent pool to pull things out of. Those are the type of things that they need to be discussing.
Stone, let me bring you back in here. During the course of this exit meeting with JJ Redick and also as well Rob Pelinka, I will say that JJ said that the roster must get into championship shape during the offseason. Pelinka says an offseason priority is solidifying the defensive core at the wing position and also as a priority, the center position. If you were in that position in El Segundo, as I put you there before many times, Joe and I have been kicked out of the UCLA Health Center by now. I just want to let you know why you're there in the boardroom. But if you're there in the boardroom and you're sitting down with your scouts, your assistants, and everybody responsible for the player movement going forward, where would you go? Where would you start? And what assets would you be able to utilize for going forward?
Yeah, so I think the first thing to start with is Reeves, and I have a little bit of varying thoughts, but I understand what you guys are saying too. Where for me, this was the absolute worst matchup for Reeves, first of all, in the playoffs. Like, and yes, if you're the third option, you have to overcome that to a degree. This is like facing Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels is as much of a kryptonite as you will find in terms of the type of player defending Austin Reeves. And I think it was just he was never going to be the regular season Austin Reeves that we had seen, but you wanted definitely to see more than we did. I will say too that it's difficult because there's two different goals, right? If the goal is to win 2026 and go for it, or set yourself up post 2026, I think that changes how hard you look to trade Austin Reeves. Because if the goal is 2026, I think you're really going to struggle to find someone of similar value that, at least on offense, that Austin Reeves brings and fits between Luka and LeBron. It's going to be really difficult to find someone at that price point that brings that sort of offensive value and secondary ball handling or tertiary ball handling in either way that Reeves does in between those two. But if the goal is to set yourself beyond LeBron, I think you have to look at moving Reeves because he's your most valuable asset, and by far. And I think that he's the one guy that you attach a pick to, you attach Ree to, you can get someone of, maybe all-star caliber or near that.
Or how about filling up several spots or 3-4 spots and getting a deeper roster instead?
That's the thing, but it also is difficult to find. Not only is it supply and demand, and not only is the supply low, but it's extremely low to find what you are demanding on the same team, if that makes sense. So to find what I'm happy about is that Pelinka, I think you said it was Pelinka. I didn't have a chance to look at the interviews today, but Pelinka said that they need center and a wing defensively. He's absolutely correct. Those are my top two priorities as well. And the fact that he identified those correctly is a positive. But finding those two things from the same team, I think, would be a bit difficult. But if that is the goal, I think in you're looking post LeBron, Reeves has to be involved. There's just no way around it. But if the goal is, can we do it with the roster that we have and just add a center? I think it is possible. It is going to be pretty difficult. I would also say too that what Pelinka says is absolutely correct. Unfortunately, I'm not completely sold that he really practices what he preaches, because we saw him trade for Mark Williams, and as great of an offensive fit as Mark Williams might have been, he is like defensively one of the worst bigs in the NBA. And
for a guy that size, that is extremely troubling.
Exactly. And so, maybe since then, that trade was obviously earlier on in the season. Maybe since then, Pelinka has come to the realization that, maybe that wasn't a great trade to begin with. And my what I value in a center has changed, and hopefully that is the case. But the question marks of whether that is really what he gets, or if he just gets a center because they're a center and a big body that plays starter minutes for a different team, that's TBD.
So, Joe, let me bring it back to you. Again, you heard what both Redick and Pelinka said. I said it pretty much paraphrasing their most important quotes coming from this exit interviews per se. But Redick is expecting the roster to be put into championship shape sooner rather than later. And I know you said that you think it's more of a process and certain things have to happen first. But as you know, the Lakers have been known to be a little bit impatient at times and tried to go ahead and try to get everything in all in one swoop. Do you think that possibility exists where the Lakers can have a good enough offseason to get themselves into championship shape?
Probably not. Not likely. Not with LeBron on the team and being an integral part of it. He's just can't close games, and I don't see how another year is going to change that. And that's the reality of it. The Lakers have to probably understand that this next year is going to be a dud, because another dud, competitive, entertaining. They'll win games. Maybe they'll get a high seed. Who knows? But LeBron James is slowly becoming the greatest stat patter I've seen in sports. This is all he's done, is stat pad at this point. Because he's given, if you eliminate his name from him being the player, right? His name is Jim Smith, and he's doing well in the regular season, but he's horrible in the playoffs. He's Austin Reeves. Everyone's killing Austin Reeves right now, right? Well, what's the difference between Austin Reeves and LeBron James right now? You all attack, and everybody has the same response. This is probably why I get irritated on the show, because I know where I may have taken a little bit of a vacation today, but I hear everything. You keep regurgitating the same garbage you hear on TV, and you look at the games and say, yeah, he's getting blown by, and yes, he's this, and not realizing that you're blaming all these issues on a guy who has only been here 3 months when these issues have been here for 3 years. So why are you using that as an excuse? Why wasn't he getting blown by like crazy on his way to the finals? He got blown by in the finals. Sure. There's a bunch of reasons why that happened. Number one, Dallas didn't belong in the finals last year. That was kind of a LeBron 07-esque type run. They just plugged in the right setups and made a run and won some key games, and then got into that final, and you saw Kyrie pretty much lose all steam. You saw guys like Lively not really, Lively's a rookie. Those are difficult games. Gafford wasn't really there. PJ Washington wasn't really there. Luka was dropping 30, but couldn't handle the other side of the court. So this is it's team basketball, especially at this level in the playoffs. You still need good team basketball. And the issues that the Lakers have right now have to be at some point eliminated. And LeBron is a big factor in that, because we cannot have a guy making $50 million a year getting 0 points in the fourth quarter in a game where you were up 10 points going into the fourth. It's not only, and this happened in Denver twice in 2 series. Lakers up the first half, Lakers up the first half, Lakers up going into the fourth, and then they lose. Who's the common denominator there the last 3 seasons? Who has sucked in the fourth quarter in all those games? You all need to really, really focus on what I'm saying here. This is all on tape. I'm talking about the big picture here, not just a 5-game series against the Timberwolves. I'm talking about the 4-game series against Denver, the 5-game series against Denver. That's 3 series in a row. You're paying somebody $50 million to be a star and has played like Austin Reeves. And yet you and everybody wants to kill Austin Reeves. It's hypocrisy. It's total hypocrisy. Just think of LeBron as Jim Smith, and I guarantee you'll start saying, you know what? There's a point there. Sorry, it's what's going on. I wish it was different. It's not. And this is a player that has had this tag his entire career. It's just that he was able to get away with it a few times because he's that damn talented. But there's that 5.5% that only a few players that I've ever seen have when it really matters at the tightest moment that they come through when they probably shouldn't have won. I'll use this example. I don't believe the Lakers should have won Game 7 in 2010. They didn't play well enough. Even with KG saying we couldn't make a shot because we could barely move. Rondo wasn't an old guy. He should have been the guy that probably took that team home, and he almost did. But what ended up happening in that instance is, and I'm not saying LeBron hasn't had his moments in crucial games and helped his team win. I'm not saying that, but there's only been a handful of memories of that, whereas I've seen other greats have an entire run like that, times 2, times 3, times 4. And this is unprecedented area of playing ability. We've never seen anybody play with the stats at 40 like this. So I think we're kind of celebrating that a little bit, maybe. But now I'm not. Now I'm over it. Now I think it's time to finally say, look, I don't care about it. I didn't care about it before, but it's really a concern now. Now it needs to stop. Now it's time to rebuild, short rebuild, because you do have the star already. Short rebuild. Let's go get some players now that can help, so that when LeBron retires after 2026, you're going to have $50 million to probably go get that superstar. And then you go into 26, 27, not being what are the Lakers going to be? It's going to be the Lakers are going to get a 1 or 2 seed one way or the other this year. And it's not going to be just 1 year. It's going to be a 3 or 4 year run.
Wow. The comments, you could just, I feel like the emperor. I can feel the hate flowing through the chat. The hate for you, Joe, is flowing through the chat. Uh, oh, by the way, you don't know basketball at all, according to what
Yeah,
I see.
I don't know basketball. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was the nicest of the comments I saw. So Stone, let me bring
Just keep. You guys can keep ball juggling yourselves while LeBron gets 28, 7, and 10 in game 52 during the regular season. You guys can go ahead and enjoy that. You're going to get a lot of that again. Go ahead. I'm gonna sit back with Stone and be realistic about things, because look what happened. Look what your hero did. Look what your hero did in 3 consecutive playoff series. Balls undeeped. So I don't know basketball, but I do know this. 1, 2 playoff wins in the last 3 series with Mr. King James at the helm.
So Stone, one of the things that's brought up in our amazing chat that just seems to
I'm blaming LeBron, folks. You know why I'm blaming LeBron? Because LeBron wants the blame. LeBron is the self-proclaimed greatest of all time, and a lot of you believe that, including John Costa. You want to call yourself the greatest of all time, and you're dropping 25, 7, and 7, and then you turn into a tulip in crucial games year in and year out, and I don't know basketball? How does that make any sense? I'm not doing it. I'm not scoring. Well, actually, I am scoring 0 points in the fourth quarter. I scored the same amount of points as LeBron in Game 4 in Minnesota. How about that? I'm LeBron James, baby. I scored the same points in the fourth quarter. I will blame him, YYC. I am going to blame LeBron James for the reasons I just told you. Maybe you should open up your hearing aid a little bit. He's taken up $50 million. $50 million. And scoring 0 points in the fourth quarters. And then the other quarters, what was it, 2 and 3, G? Don't get mad at me. Go get mad at him. Because if he scores 10 points, 8 points, 7 points in those quarters, Lakers win, right? Oh, how about inbound the ball at least at the end of games? And if he had inbounded the ball correctly, guess what? They probably would have been a 2 seed and would have faced Golden State, which would have been a better matchup.
If they hadn't taken the day off against Milwaukee, they might have been a 2 seed. But again, that's a bigger story. But we told you.
I want to give props to Stephen A. Smith. I became a fan of Stephen A. Smith today.
Really?
Yes. That General Hospital scene had me on the floor. The way he had that, oh man, I was just like, I couldn't stop watching it. I was dying. My mom, God rest her soul, man, loved General Hospital. Loved General Hospital. And when he came into that room, I remember I just put my hands up. I'm like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. And then I kept watching, and I don't want to ruin it, but I guess I can ruin it, can I? I mean, if you don't want to know what happened, just mute it for a second. Man, the way he pulled out that that silencer, I was like, no, and took out a nurse. I am a fan of Stephen A. Smith forever. That was so good. That was so good. Props to Stephen A. Smith. That really, 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 really made me laugh in a really good way. It's not to patronize him. I really, really enjoyed it. Now I want to go see the episode. I want to see what happened.
So Stone, let me bring it over to you. I know that again in our chat, the chat that throws nothing but flowers at us throughout the entire show. One of the things that they're complaining about is Luka Doncic, and Luka didn't get it done when it's needed the most as well. But again, this is a player. If we get him the right people around him, he can take this team, I believe, to a much higher level that would satisfy most, not all, because that's always just going to flow their hate regardless. But I believe that that's going to be the case. But he does have some deficiencies in his game that people just need to get over. He is not going to ever be a great defender. He had some stops against Minnesota. He had some good defensive possessions against Minnesota. Yes, he had stomach flu one game, and he got really bad back issues. And as someone who has 2 herniated discs, I understand. I know where he has been. I know where he was last night. You get hit in the wrong place, it really hurts, and it's really debilitating. And if you guys don't understand it, get that, that's fine. I understand. But he isn't ever going to be a good defender. I think people need to get over that and beyond that, because what he does for you as a facilitator, as a scorer, is so dynamic. It just understand that you need other assets in place that fit complementary around him. Now, mind you, again, he did have some good defensive stops, which nobody's giving him credit for. I get that. And there were also some really bad ones as well. Yesterday, for example. So that second half, he was like a traffic cone, but a lot of that could be due to what has happened with his back. Again, as someone who has had those type of issues, I understand what he's going through. Stone, your thoughts? Again, building around Luka is going to be the way the Lakers are going to go ahead and do this going forward. People have to get used to that. They have to come to grips with that. But how do you do that knowing Luka has some parts of his game that some people are always going to point at? Some people are always going to go ahead and just shoot the finger at, and understand that there are other assets and other parts of his game that are accentuated better with other players around him that will make this team better going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not excuses, right? Like Luka is generally a bad defender, but I will say last year, like to only minimize Luka to only being this bad of a defender that we saw in this series from this year, I think is telling on yourself that you didn't watch last year, because during the playoffs up until the finals, I would say he was a neutral defender. I wouldn't say he was great, but he did have some good moments. But he was nowhere near this bad. I think there's a lot of things that are unique to Doncic and his circumstances that prohibited him from being better than he was this series. One being obviously the injuries. He still, to me, never looked. I've watched Luka for the past 10 years now. He didn't look like Luka that I had seen the 9 years prior, before the midseason injury to the knee, the back injuries, the illnesses. I don't want to put things out there that are just speculation, but there's, maybe he is still getting used to the fact that he is a Laker, and not in Dallas, and that takes a mental hurdle to get over. I'm just saying that this isn't an excusing LeBron. It's pointing out facts that can contribute to why Luka played as poorly defensively as he did, because I'm not pretending that he didn't play that poorly. I think Luka was horrendous defensively, and I think there's no denying that to anybody that watched the series. But I think there's factors that contributed to that might not exist moving forward. And if he continues to be this bad moving forward, then maybe there's other things that need to be addressed in terms of Luka and his performance. But having watched him for several years, I don't think he's as bad as a defender as we had seen, especially if you have watched the couple years leading up to this season. I think also, too, what LeBron is doing at his age is pretty crazy. But at this point in time, LeBron is not useful to winning championships if the criteria is maximizing what your best player does, which would be Luka. And LeBron does not maximize Luka. And I think that is what he did as a 40-year-old is insane. But he is, as Joe has pointed out multiple times, a hindrance to the payroll when it's what he's doing is not conducive to maximizing Luca, and he's still making $50+ million. That's something that has to change, because that's $50+ million that, in my opinion, is hindering the Lakers from getting better, because getting better means building around Luca. Yeah, so that's hopefully put in a way that I'm sure nobody will listen or care, but hopefully that's a way that rationalizes it in a way that both Luca and LeBron haters can understand that perspective.
Once again, it is, of course, Stone Hansen, along with Joe Sower and me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. Joe, Austin Reeves, again, somebody asked earlier. I don't think they heard what we talked about earlier in the show in regards to Austin Reeves. But one of the things with, and I'm not letting JJ off the hook on this, is all season long, I noted that with JJ's switching defense, it was always a problem where a guard, most likely the candidate would be Austin Reeves, gets caught with a big man who would take advantage of that more times than not. And we saw that several times yesterday come to fruition. Either JJ is going to change his scheme, or you got to change the player that's guarding that individual. And in this age of where everything has to switch and switch and switch until you find and fish out the weakest part of the defense. Everybody talks about Luca, and Luca did have his bad defensive possessions. No doubt about it. He had some good ones earlier in the series, didn't have some good ones in yesterday's game. But more on that was Austin Reeves constantly getting put into a position where he had to be guarding Rudy Gobert. And this is something, again, I told you that we've addressed all season as far as it happening over and over again. So you either change, or you ask the coach to change his philosophy on defense, which I'm not sure that's going to happen, or you change the player, because if he's not getting it done for you to the extent you need to, Joe, on either side of the ball, some changes are going to have to be made.
The talent wasn't enough. JJ took a chance, and it's one of those chances in Game 4 where he would have been a genius if it worked, and if it didn't, he'd be an idiot. Those things happen all the time. The Lakers don't have a power forward, really. I know DFS kind of masks as one. Rui is playing one. LeBron is playing one, but they're not really power forward rebounding types, and definitely didn't have one single center that you could warrant as a starter. Hell, Jackson Hayes, as much as I think he's outplayed his contract in the last 2 years, he was barely a backup until Luka got there, and then he became a legitimate backup because of the fact that he can pick and roll and get to the basket in parts of the regular season. But in the playoffs, he's not useful. There's too much focus on that, too much homework on that during the playoffs. So there's not a lot of talent available, and the Giannis information coming out is so stupid, because he was walking in LA today. So the Lakers don't have enough money to trade for him, and there's not enough assets to send to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's going to likely want something more. I just don't think a trade like Luka is going to happen again. I would be in shock. I guess I could be wrong, but I don't see it happening. My look on this is let things play out, try to improve the team, try to do something in 2026, because we all know LeBron is not opting. We know LeBron is not going to retire this summer, but do your best to get a couple of really important players, hopefully maybe 3, and then let's see if some luck can go on their side and they can make a run next year. But after next year is really what I'm looking at. I think it's more than just the money. Actually, it's more than just LeBron James. It's kind of like, it reminds me of the Steve Young, Joe Montana thing. You just have to to end it. Everyone knew Joe Montana could still play. Joe Montana was insistent that he could still play, but it was Steve Young's time. I know a lot of you probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but there was a moment where Joe Montana was for a decade, the man, won 4 Super Bowls, threw 11 touchdown passes, no interceptions, was God. Before Brady was the number one quarterback of all time. People were pretty much calling him the number one, right? And there was a moment where he got hurt in 1990 in the playoffs, and he didn't play for almost 2 years. And Steve Young was waiting in the wings, and it was time to make that decision. Same thing happened with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. At some point, sitting for 3 years, and you pick this guy in the first round, you got to use him. And you got to get rid of what was before, even if that player can still play. No, it's not a bad comparison, Joker. I'm trying to make it make sense that the atmosphere needs to change. LeBron needs to go. LeBron controls planets. And that needs to go. It needs to be now the next phase. And you can't do that with LeBron there. And LeBron isn't finishing. I want you guys to listen to this one more time. LeBron isn't finishing games. Do you not understand that? If he can't finish games, he is useless to win titles. Focus on that. Stop worrying about Luka's defense, because I keep telling you people, before Luka got here, the same goddamn problems were going on. And then J.J. Redick, what happened with J.J. Redick? What, Darvin Ham was better than J.J. Redick because he went to the Western Conference Finals? Same problems were going on when Darvin was there, when Frank Vogel was there, when J.J. Redick is here. What is it? AD is gone. Same shit was going on when AD was here and after AD left. What is the common denominator? No, it's not dumb, Sharon. It's not dumb. You are fixated on a singular player. I'm fixated on the LA motherfucking Lakers. I don't give a shit about LeBron's legacy or his 25-5 games. I don't give a fuck. Because look what happened yesterday. They got beat as a 3 seed. They lost 2 games at home. They got their ass whooped at home in game 1. And you want to sit there and keep telling me I don't know fucking basketball and I am a hater of LeBron James when that motherfucker can't score more than 3 points in the 4th fucking quarter in a playoff series. Don't tell me I don't know fucking basketball, because it's right there in your face. If you're going to go. Go look at his posters and go watch him do funny commercials. I don't give a fuck about that shit. Okay? I don't care about any of it. I want the Lakers to win. And right now, the Lakers acquired on February 1 a player that's going to allow this team to compete for a title for a decade. I want focus on that. Go ahead and go watch film of LeBron James and doing whatever he does. I don't give a shit. But if he's going to sit there and score 0 points in the 4th quarter and not even be able to fucking inbound the goddamn ball in Chicago, game in and game out, I don't want that. I don't want it. And if that means I don't know basketball, you're a fucking idiot then. Seriously. Stupid response to that. I'm not doing those things. He is. Now, if he had played his ass off and he lost, there is a difference. There's plenty of players that play their ass off and still lose at the end of games. There's a difference. Not 0 points and 3 points in the 4th quarter, especially when you're up double digits. How many times did that happen in the last 3 series that they lost? Go look at it. I'm not going to do your homework for you.
Once again, it is the snack pack from the Lakers. It's Gerald Glasser, Joe Sorrell, and Stone Hansen. Stone, before we go, I know again you and I will have some great conversations on the draft coming up. But before I do that, Parade on Figueroa coming in with the save on the last question, or one of the last questions that we'll touch on before we go. He says, I really don't think this team can reach a championship level until Luka commits on defense. Do you agree? Parade, I'll say this. We did talk about it earlier. He's never going to be the defender that you want him to be. Simple as that. But he's so dynamic offensively and brings so many things to the table. He just has to be, again, just what? What did you say, Stone? Just
a neutral.
A neutral. There you go. That's the best way to say it. He played defense at times in that earlier games in the series, which nobody gives him credit for. And I get that. I understand, because all you're seeing is the bad, because he did play terrible on the defensive end in that second half yesterday. I get that, but you're expecting something to happen that's not going to happen. I think you guys are asking for something that is not there. You're asking him to go ahead and be this lockdown defender, which he is not and will never be. But if he's a neutral on defense, as Stone says, I think that's the best that's going to happen. I think that's the best that is needed, because hopefully by that time we will have put some better players around that going forward, Stone.
Yeah, and by committing or buying into defense, that's really the most you're going to get out of Luka, and it is enough, I think, with the right pieces around him. So yeah, I would say if he does commit, and again, by commit meaning getting to that neutral level defensively, I think the Lakers can win championships with him at that sort of defensive level. I would say it'd be extremely difficult. Nothing's impossible, but it'd be extremely very difficult for the Lakers to win if Luka were to continue giving performances on the defensive side of the ball like he did in that Timberwolves series. But like I said earlier, having watched him now for a decade, I think he's a better defender than what he showed in the Timberwolves series, and a lot of circumstantial things were going on around him that I think prohibited him from getting to that level. But that's not to say Luka is a good defender. But yeah, I mean, we'll get to draft stuff like you said, and at some point, I'm sure, like before free agency hits, we can get into some names maybe the Lakers might look at. But really, I just wanted to come on here and give some thoughts as to what the next steps are, sort of in a broader sense, and why championship expectations should have never existed for this year, and why we should still be happy, because, and at least from my perspective, a lot of people seem to disagree, which is crazy to me, but we got our building block of the future, and that just didn't exist for us before this season. So for me, yeah, we didn't win a championship. I don't really care what round we lost in or how many games it took, but we got, in my view, at a better point as a Lakers franchise than where we were last season, because now we have someone to build around for the future. But that's pretty much all I have to say on the Lakers season and where we go from here. But I appreciate you guys having me on.
No worries, always, my friend. It is Stone Hansen for the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast. Joe, again, they're the haters. They're all there. They're all lining up on Luka. They didn't see the game, obviously, so it's apparent that they didn't watch the game, the whole game. Yes, Luka's defense in that second half was not good at all. But when he gets stops, again, he gets zero credit. He got stops on several occasions in the earlier games in Minnesota, and it didn't seem to be as much of an issue then. But again, also, AR was constantly being switched upon and they were singling him out primarily on defense because they always got to get Rudy Gobert on him. So again, does Luka need to be better defensively? Absolutely. But he will never be the defender you guys need him to be. But he will be the defender, or at least a good enough defender to get to the point, guys, that if we surround the right people around him, he can lead us into several years of high level and championship level basketball, Joe, if you guys will allow him to do so.
Having this discussion now is useless because we have to wait till November, December to really have this argument to work. Now it's just Lucas sucks on defense. Okay. And then completely not hearing anything I said the last 15 minutes.
Nor me as well. So.
Right. So it's futile. Again, it's better if I just talk to this wall right here right now. Every time, guys, the sun is out. It's right there. See it, right? See the light? And then the response will be, well, Luka allowed it to shine.
He scored 38, and it obviously does nothing.
Luka moved out of the way of the shade, so now the sun is coming in and it's hot. That's the response to everything, because that's what they've been programmed to say, because that's all that was on the tube for a week after Luka went to LA. Fire and brimstone after he left Dallas. It was a classic PR move of destroying what they sent out so that they can calm their fan base down and manipulate the deadheads that are in here who, for some weird reason, are infatuated with LeBron James. No, I'm not buying into your shit because it's not true. It's not. This is still a team game. You need to construct this team to the star that is on your team. What are you going to do when Shaq was in his prime? Are you going to get him shooters and good guard play, or are you going to get 3 other centers to play with him to better use his talents? How are you going to put another big man next to Shaq back in his time? The lane's going to get clogged, right? Am I putting this cleanly so everyone can understand, since I don't know basketball? What would they have done if they had 2 centers on the floor or 2 big men? Oh, here, I'll do one better for you guys. Just so you guys know that I know my history. I don't know if you guys will still believe that I know basketball, but let's talk about this for a second. Gerald, Stone, I know Stone, you're a young guy, but Gerald will know this. Stone might know it too, but because he's a historian too. You remember the Penny Hardaway draft? You remember who the first pick was that year? It was Chris Webber. Now, at the time, Chris Webber was block. Probably had he not been kind of a deadhead, he would have been a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. His talent was immense. Get the ball in the block, and he could pass with the best of them. Phenomenal team basketball player and individual player. Like Chris Webber was really good when he was on. So what was the discussion about not having Chris Webber come to Orlando? Because Orlando won the lottery that year. They weren't supposed to be even close. I think they had 1 ball, and they got the ball. At that time, that's how the lottery was. So instead of getting Chris Webber and clogging the lane, Shaq says he convinced management to go get Penny because of the Blue Chips movie, but I don't know necessarily if I believe all that. They made a trade for Penny Hardaway, and they got a lead guard to play with Shaq, and it was instant positive, right? They went to the finals 2 years after that, on the second year playing together. Now imagine if Chris Webber was on that team with Shaq, both on the block. Now, years later, I could have seen Chris maybe sit kind of like the Karl Malone role. Am I boring you guys with facts now?
No, I'm just laughing at what Sports Baby said to the chat. So
I'm just saying,
That's a typical Joe line. I'll just leave it at that.
What is it? What do you say?
I can't say it on the air for our
Oh,
audio
okay, good.
listeners.
So it's
I'd like to be
derogatory.
more
Okay, good.
respectful of that.
The
Yes.
so when you want a championship team, you gotta build the team around your star. And right now, Luka is 14 years younger than LeBron James. 14. So keep fixing yourself on the defense. And I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for this to subside because at some point it will. And then once this thing is figured out and that they're ready to go to the next era, that's when we're gonna really know what this is gonna be about. But it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be at least a couple of years probably. But they can start making some of us feel better by the decisions here in the next few weeks. Make sure that LeBron James is only playing through 2026. If they give him another 1+1, you're basically setting yourself up for more of what you saw the last 3 playoff series. And then you guys can come back on here and tell everybody we don't know anything while you're king. What is it? Hold on. I'm gonna read this out to you. You guys tell me if this is good. Game 1, 4 points in the fourth. Game 2, 6 points, shot 25% from the field, by the way. Game 3, scored 0 points in the last 5 minutes. Scored 0 points in Game 4 in the entire fourth quarter. And then Game 5, at home, 5 points, shooting 28%. But what about Luka's defense? What about Luka's defense? While every rebound was going their way. But what about Luka's defense? They were missing shots. No one was rebounding. So what does Luka's defense have to do with 400 offensive rebounds for Minnesota? Wouldn't that be a good defense? Because they made a miss, right? On the perimeter? Right? Die on that hill, guys. Keep dying on that hill. One thing some of you already know about me. It doesn't matter what you say. When I get hot because I want to get hot, because I like it. It's exciting for me. That's why I'm wearing red more now, because it matches. So keep bringing it, and I'll wear your motherfucking asses out. You will never beat me in that department, ever.
Just don't say he said something.
Just don't put words in my mouth. You can talk all the shit you want. You obviously see we're not talking, oh, we're going to send your ass out like all those pussy-ass freaking shows out there. No. You want to talk some shit like you did today? Yeah. I like it. Keep it. Bring it.
Almost 1,000 people have already viewed the latest short, which shows Joe.
And it sucks because I got to pop my coming. I was upset at that pop. It was driving me nuts. Popped again today, but as soon as that's already shipped. As soon as it gets here, hopefully I can get rid of this stupid pop when I'm
and Laker Doomers, he's just still in the. I don't know why he's still in the chat. He just got shamed so badly by you, and again, people are watching it, and it's only benefiting the channel. But hey, it is what it is. But Stone, before we head on out, my friend, before we talk again, we'll have many more conversations. I know the Lakerholics are still talking about doing something together for a season-ending deal for them, but we're going to have shows throughout the summer, but we'll be focusing on the draft. But you are focusing on the draft here and now. Before I talk about our great shows that we got upcoming with draft talk between for you, what the Lakers need or what can the Lakers possibly get at that pick, plus what's the latest news and trends and shifting as far as analysis that a lot of people are having on the draft. I know you are starting to put a little bit more effort into what I thought you said you might take a break. I love it. I wanted to take a break. But it drew me back in. Just like Al Pacino, Stone, it drew you back in. So what's going on with the NBA draft and Stone Hansen for your world at @report_court and the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast?
Yeah, I'm
Drew you back in.
Yeah, no, I'm an addict is the problem. I am working as much as I can between my full-time job and watching draft film. And because for me it's a slow burn, watch a lot of film before I sort of create an opinion on a player. I'm only at about 15 players right now, but my schedule is going to open up a bit this month, hopefully. So I'm going to try and round out to at least 60 guys. And as I watch them and as I create and develop those opinions, you could watch those thoughts come out in real time at report_court on Twitter. I'm also on Blue Sky. You can just search Stone Hansen and it'll pop up because there's not many of us. And then the Upside Swings podcast we're trying to do weekly, maybe more as we get closer to the draft. And we've covered a lot of names already. It's not for the faint of heart. It's definitely the I'm not trying to be biased, but I would say the most detailed draft podcast that you can get. And if you're into that sort of stuff, feel free to give us a listen. Hopefully you come away knowing more about a player than you did before you listened. It's kind of the goal. That's I think about it for me at the moment. I'm just trying to get through as many prospects as I can.
I am so tempted to save this off for one of our conversations down the line, but I gotta ask because a lot of projections have them there, and I saw a little bit of tape on him. Speaking of the name Hansen, there's a gentleman coming out of the Far East, out of China, named Yang Hansen, 7-footer, has some skills that he brings to the table. Have you had a chance to see Mr. Yang Hansen coming out of China as a possibility for the Lakers at number 55, where he actually has been in, I know it's early, but some of these prognosticators have targeted Yang Hansen for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you are going to have to save that question and ask me next time because I have not yet watched him.
I just wondered with the Hansen connection.
I've watched him, but not enough to feel comfortable having an opinion about him yet. So we'll save it for the next one.
Hold off on that question. All right, fair enough.
Why was that all devious, Gerald?
It wasn't devious.
Why were you smirking when you?
Because the Hansen connection. His name is Hansen. His name's Hansen.
So,
and he spells it correctly too. He has
is it a Chinese guy named Hansen?
Hansen Yang, yes.
Oh, Hansen Yang, not Yang Hansen.
But some people have put it. His name is Yang Hansen. I'll just leave it at that. But yes, it's Hansen.
Yeah, that's a cultural thing where they reverse it, right?
Yeah, Chinese names are a little finicky, so it's difficult to find the real spelling sometimes.
But
I'll have it for you next time.
Okay, good. We're going to have more than one conversation on the NBA draft, hopefully, as we always do, leading up to the NBA draft. And Joe, you've got the Joe Sorrell channel. We've got both our playback channels, by the way. Mine is still up and running with the NBA playoffs as the Detroit Pistons look like with about 7 minutes left. They're not going to be able to get it done, and New York is going to move on, possibly, although it's only down 7, but we'll see. I've got the game on. Over.
Yeah, the show's gonna be more geared towards the experiment instead of my name in front of it. My name will be there. Everybody will know who I am, obviously, but it's the experiment. That's what the show will be. It will be the experiment, and the production value will be geared towards that as well. And of course, the information will be. The structure of it is still kind of being experimented on. Still don't know exactly where I want to go with it, but I've been very happy with the last 2 shows. A lot of responses, a lot of relative for someone who's only got 9. I think I'm not even at 90 yet. I think I'm at 89, and I'm getting over 120 views. I think that's a good sign that things are building.
It's great,
slowly.
Man.
So yeah, time is a little bit of my enemy in putting more time in this, but I'm crossing my fingers that soon will be in the rearview mirror. Next week.
Anytime you're getting more views than your subscribers, it's a good thing.
Correct, and that's one of the first things I wanted to make sure was going on, because that's a good sign that the future is good. That if it continues to stay with that, I want the show to get to 1,000 subscribers within the calendar year, within the next year at the latest, and I want 1,000 people watching it. That's kind of my goal. That's what I'm going to gear it towards. And again, I have to thank you, Gerald, and thank LFB and all the people who have been on here. I'm not everybody's cup of coffee, but I'm definitely that.
Is this show today's show?
I'm not Starbucks. I'm not even Coffee Bean. I'm that off the cuff, very, very, very happy 40-year mom and pop show, because that's how my brain works. Now I'm pretty modernized. I'm not, hey, get off my lawn in a sense of, I'm not going to listen to what you say. No, I'm with it too. Don't get me wrong. I'm about technology. I'm about current music and all that too. I get it, but you're not going to get this. You're not going to intimidate me. Number one, and I'm not trying to intimidate anybody either. If it comes off that way, that's probably something you have to ask yourself on why. Because I'm hundreds of miles away. You shouldn't be intimidated by some schmuck on a mic on a broadcast. I don't think you should do that. But talking smack is my language, and even if it's a little serious, I think the benefit is for a lot of people, even those who do get upset, understand that you can always come back, because it's just not that important. It's supposed to be good, fun dialogue, and sometimes it gets serious.
So there you go. What was the next Upside Swings, that NBA Draft podcast? When is the next episode coming out, Stone?
Sometime next week, late next week.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure when you dropped that. So okay.
And check us out
Looking
on
forward to it.
YouTube too. We just started on YouTube, so for
Oh,
those
God
watching
help
on
you.
here, yeah.
God
So
help you.
for those watching on here, we don't do live, so we don't get the live comments. But if YouTube
be
is more
good.
your jam instead of audio, you feel free to subscribe and check us out.
There you go. That is Stone Hansen at report_court. He's also on Blue Sky as Stone Hansen, not Hansen Yang. But also as well, Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast and the Joe Soro Experiment you can find at the Joe Soro channel as well. Looking tomorrow night, you said. I think you said in the comments. Is that correct? Tomorrow night?
Plan is to have a show tomorrow night.
Okay.
I know it would have been easy to make one tonight with everyone being off, but I do want to have some substance and start really talking a little bit more Dodger baseball, because the Dodgers are getting back in their little rhythm again, and they're in first place, back in first place, and it's going to be a hell of a
In the
year.
West. Oh,
Correct.
in the NL. Excuse me. In the NL.
Correct,
So,
correct. I believe they had the same record as the Mets for overall best record in the majors.
I think didn't the Mets win this today?
This was a few hours ago, though. I don't know if I have to look at the out of town scoreboard. I don't know who's playing right now.
Okay, because I think the Mets won earlier today. Because
Then they're up by half a game now. Yeah, or maybe
Soto
it was
hit, 2 homers today.
Yeah.
But no, they lost. They lost to the Diamondbacks. So yeah, there you go. Soto hits 2 home runs. They only scored 2 runs. There you go.
Joker.
All right.
Joker. This is about sports. I'm a sports guy. Baseball is my jam. Football is my number 1. Basketball is my 1A. Baseball is my 1B. If I had to pick, y'all don't see the football side of me. I'm bigger in football than basketball, believe it or not. But basketball is a little bit more relatable, because you can still play basketball. You can't go put pads on and go play with the. I mean, I guess you could. The sheriff versus the fireman. They usually have a game down south in San Diego. My old partner in the radio is a cop down there, and yeah. As a barber, I love the show.
Comment.
Every stage of beard growth.
Yes, good one, Polar Nights. Good one on Twitch.
That's a good one, Polar. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't. Is Judge the new Bonds? It's interesting you say that, Ace. No, Bonds is always going to be a better hitter than Judge. I'd say better
400 right now, Joe.
I'd say he's a better home run hitter, sure, but that's the point. Is Judge? He still hits for average. Don't get me wrong, but Judge. I wish you'd asked me this on my show. I could go into it for about 20 minutes. I have a friend who's close with Barry, so I have to be a good boy here. But we're never going to really know the sample size enough, even though there is a good one. Like Bonds between 87 and 98, if he had retired in 1998, would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2003. Because he was already a 3-time NL MVP, right? And the reason why I picked 98 is I believe that's when he started his cycle. That's when I think he started gear. And he became not just a superhero. He became a leading superhero like Batman or Superman. Not a secondary or a third tier comic book guy like I don't know, the Ant-Man, like even Iron Man, until Robert Downey Jr. made him viable to be a one. So if you're going to compare Aaron Judge to Barry pre-gear, they're very similar. You know why they're very similar? Because they both struggled in the postseason when they were in the postseason before Barry went on gear. And they were really good in the regular season. So you might not be far off. I would say no one is a better hitter. No one is a better baseball player than I'd pick him over Judge as far as being a baseball player. But Judge is making a case for him being a better power guy in the end. That's kind of where I stand on that.
And check out more of what Joe is saying on the Joe Soro experiment tomorrow.
I'm sorry, G. Hold on a second. Real Laker. I don't necessarily. I'm not going to create a show to respond to people who disagree with me, because people are going to disagree with me on every show, anyways, and that is the point. That is the point. Some of you have gotten used to this, so it's easy to explain it to you. But for those who aren't here all the time, when I get angry, I told you guys, it's like a firecracker. You light the fire, you light the fuse, it blows up, and then it's done. That's why I don't have heart issues. That's why my blood is clean. Blood pressure is, I think we checked it the other day, it was like 126 over 80, 84 or something. I'm good, guys. Trust me. Don't worry about me. The only thing that's going to take me out is someone putting a gun to my head while I'm asleep. That's your shot. That's the only way I go out, at least for right now.
So Detroit has taken over. I spoke a little too soon. Detroit has taken over the lead, but 5 minutes left over New York. So we'll see how that transpires. But yeah, I could hop on over to the Lakers Fast Break. I have the game on there. Stone, great to have you here. Joe, great to have you here. And last thing, for members of the Lakers Fast Break.
Come on, Doobie. I would like to think that you'd call me something better than this guy.
No, LMAO, of course, laugh my ass off. His guy is the best.
I know what he said. It's a typo, but I know what he meant.
No, I know as well. Just again, one last thing I wanted to mention to our members. I am going to have a review up tonight for you guys first.
What, are we taking a test?
Oh.
What do you got to test?
I saw Thunderbolts, and I'm going to let them know how what I thought of it.
Oh, that's what it was.
And members will know what it's going to be first.
Was it good?
Before anywhere else. I will tell you that review if you remember.
Not even a tease?
Of course. Tease indeed. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. We'll be back most likely this weekend. I think the Lakerholics are trying to plan something out. If not, Joe and I will find some time to go ahead and get you guys through the weekend and get you these start times. Hopefully at the better.
You're still my guy, Doobie. You're still my guy, baby. You're still my guy.
Hopefully at the other end, there will be some light.
And somebody gets Sharon back here. I don't know why she left. I'm sad about that.
She said she had.
She's like, I'm done. I'm done. Somebody call her up. Say, come on. You can't do this.
Oh, come on, Joe. That's not the first time you pissed off someone.
Yeah, but still, man. I mean, come on. They don't usually say
They're
it.
grown adults. You say what you say. It is what it is. She's gone. It's like the void, sucked up into the void. Put in that Thunderbolts thing there. All right. Thanks so much again for joining us. We'll be back soon. We promise. We'll keep in touch. We'll keep you close to you. We'll keep you updated on the NBA, the NBA draft, and more right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
I'm not going to play that video like.
Your ending yesterday was better.
I have to go back. I forgot what I said.
That was classic.